Right, when we did our last interview, I know it was at the end of 2016, obviously like the last time you were in Origin. Right, what would you say now that years and years have passed and there's sort of some distance where it's not as awkward to talk about that period anymore? What would you say about the Origin period? Because the problem with it is, like, if we divide it in two, the first half's brilliant because what it showed was, I mean, that was even the perfect time to do it. That was the era where, because of promotion and the challenger scene, if you were just a bunch of big players, obviously you wouldn't expect it were like two of the biggest names in the whole world. I mean, you can basically just go make your own team and just qualify and have an LCS slot, like when it used to be called the ULCS, obviously. And then potentially, as you saw, we go to Worlds, still have results. Like, it showed that back then it wasn't as necessary to have like an enormous amount of investment and all these things. You just had to have the basics, and then obviously you guys were good enough to get it done. The problem is, though, the second half of the OG experience is kind of why people didn't try that before, though, which is that when you don't have like a really established set of people behind you, business people, people who are there for the long term, it can just all go to shit overnight, right? So
Yeah.
what would you say about what happened in the OG situation? Because it seems like one of the problems with it wasn't just that the org had its issues and people left. It's that because when you joined, there was that awkward element where it's obviously literally your teammate's mom who's like part of the org. Like, it just made everything kind of awkward, right? Where it all fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I would say that it was like a super risky move for everyone involved, aside from Sven back then, because he was new, but for the rest, we were like LCS players and everything. So having to like qualify two Challenger, then qualify two LCS, like everything is online. Obviously, things can go wrong sometimes. So it was super stressful, but since we made it, like now it's just like good memories, really good memories, I would say. Um, so yeah, the whole thing, like we had our house in Spain and everything to qualify to Challenger. So um, obviously it was like super scary, and I get like I cannot even imagine for Peke how it was, right? Like because it was his project and everything, and I think it was really scary for Mithy, me, and Amazing. But I cannot even imagine how it was for Peke, having to go through all of that. Like it must have been really difficult, but looking back now is just really great memories overall.
Are you still pissed off that Mithy and Sven just left after that split and went to go to G2? Like, did they handle it the right way in your opinion?
I think I think I mean for me I'm how do you say in English, like um, I don't I might be, disappointed for like a day or whatever, but I don't hold grudges.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I don't ever hold grudges against anyone, and um, I wasn't like at any point really mad at them. I think the only thing that people felt within the team, it was more that they didn't really tell us anything. Um, so the only maybe hard part was trying to find people in time to replace them. So that was like the only maybe bad thing, like oh, it basically happened, but there wasn't ever like a bad tension or anything between me and Sven or me and Mithi, really.
Right, one thing, I don't know if you're aware of this, right? But over the years, when I've had all these like epic debates I've had on all my shows, like the fucking Froggen versus Expecke wars and shit back in the day, Reckless versus Forgiven, the other classic one, of course. Whenever I've had these discussions, right, one of the classic angles that people always take to try and tell me that like Expecke is better than Froggen or whatever is instead of just talking about the game, right, they go with like a weird external angles, like, well, the reason why, Expecke had better teammates, 'cause obviously that would be my angle to like even it up. They'd be like, well, the reason he had better teammates, though, is because he was such a great person. He attracted the right people to him and he won them over, right? Obviously, people will forget there was this weird period when actually it was very briefly, but Forgiven was on OG with Soaz and Expeke in theory. So I want to ask this question, right? I'm going to make it a funny version. Here's the question, right? Was Forgiven that bad that even Expeke and Soaz, people who've been like legendary teammates, had a million good, you guys really just couldn't get through to this guy? You couldn't handle him.
So in OG, I mean, I never had any like bad issues with Forgiven myself. I think we had some like disagreements, like anyone, you know, in all the games should be played. Back then, it was still lane swap as well.
Yes.
So Forgiven had like tendencies in lane swap to like take an extra wave and die sometimes and things like that, you know. So there are some like disagreements in how lane swap should be played or things like that. But it's normal, it happens. I think the only maybe bad part was the name of the support? I forgot.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. So it was only between Forgiven and Hybrid. A lot of disagreements and things like that. And aside of that, yeah, it was obviously it was not like as I said, like since they left, like we had to bring pieces, and I don't think we did it the right way. But I don't think it was like that bad as maybe people think or whatever. I think, I mean, for me, I didn't have like that many issues with him. So yeah, it was not too bad. It was just between him and Hybrid, a lot of disagreements, a lot of conflict in how they want to play, what they should say to each other, what not, you know. Like they didn't have like a good synergy, I guess.